All right, it is 7:30. We are going to go ahead and get started now. So here we're going to have a video in a little bit. Before I do, I just want to say welcome to all the parents that are in here right now. Thank you guys for listening to your students about the meeting, or if you got the text or you got the email or however it is you heard about the meeting, or maybe it was the handout that got put on your fridge. Thank you guys for being here. Everybody in this room is going to fall into one of three categories, okay? This right here, and when I say your category, go ahead and raise your hand just so I kind of know who I'm talking to. So, all right, raise your hand if you know for sure you're going to camp. This is just kind of a formality for you. Whoa, look at all the hands. Cool, all right. What about this? You want to go to camp, but you need more information. Cool. Or you have no idea why you're here. You just showed up, and there's a meeting, and you're just going along for the ride. All right. God, and I saw a lot of parents raise their hand, too. That's crazy. All right. So which of these three categories you guys are falling into, this is going to be really, really good information for you because it gives you a little bit of understanding of who we are, why we're doing what it is we're doing, why are we doing camp, what is the heart behind it. We are going to a different camp, and we're going to talk about that here in just a second. But before I do, I have a video I want to show you guys about where we're going to be going this year. So hopefully we can get that thrown up there. That is the cost for camp. The reason we put that video together is because I had a lot of people asking me, where are we going this year? And we're going to Marsh Bible Camp in Midway, Georgia. If you plug it in your GPS, it's probably going to be somewhere between 30 and 35 minutes from here, depending on traffic. And so who's going to be going? All right. So if you are currently, I like crowd participation. I like it. If you are currently in 6th grade and you are going to be going into 7th grade, you are eligible to go to camp. And if you are going to be a graduating senior, you are eligible to go. And then everyone in between. Okay. If you have, or if for whatever reason you're in here and you're in 5th grade and you are going into 6th grade, unfortunately, you can't go on this one. You're not quite eligible just yet. And so that's who's eligible as far as students go. For adults, okay, this is the first year we're able to take pretty much as many volunteers as we want. 3 years ago, we went up to Ocoee, Tennessee, and we were limited. I checked today. We were limited to 11 adult volunteers who could go. 2 years ago, we went to Timberlake Retreat Center in Forsyth, Georgia, and we were able to take about 10 volunteers there. And then last year, when we went up to Brevard, North Carolina, to the Wilds, we were also only allowed to have 10 adult volunteers here. Now, this camp is a little bit different because it's going to be just us there. It's going to be just us, and so I'm really excited about it. The last 2 years, we've done stuff with other churches, and that's great too, but it's good to also mix it up a little bit. So this year is going to be just us, and because there's nobody there to tell us no, we can bring as many volunteers as we want. And so, of course, small group leaders, we're going to have as many of them there as possible for summer camp. Who, if they can get off work, like we want them there. They're the ones that are here week in and week out, and they know you guys the best. You know them. Of course, we're going to have them there. And then we also have a bunch of other people from the church who see the value in what goes on at camp. And this year, we're able to actually say yes to them, that they can tag along and they can, really have a say in what happens at camp. And so, between those two, it's pretty much gateway people that are going to be there, okay? Unlike past years, there has been a hard cap on students that can go based on the camp capacity. This year, as of right now, we don't have a limit as far as like how many students can go. If after tonight, which at the end of this meeting, the registrations are going to open up, if at the end of this meeting I have like 120 people sign up for camp, we're going to be figuring that out. But last year we took, I think it was 76 or 77 students to camp. The year before that, it was like a little bit less than that. And so I'm planning for 100 students to go to camp this year. And it's definitely doable with the growth that we had seen here at Gateway Students. And so if you want to go to camp, man, we want you to get to camp regardless of, financial issues. So we saw the price for camp. It's $195. Last year it was $350. There wasn't a single student who wanted to go to camp who didn't go because of financial reasons. And if they didn't go because of that, it's because they didn't listen to what I had said up here from the stage, because we have people that help sponsor students to go to camp. We have fundraising opportunities we're going to talk about here in a little bit. But if you want to go to camp, let me know. We will get you to camp. I have a slide up here that has the menu for the week, and I bring this up because this is one of the most commonly asked things I get every single year about camp is, what's the food going to be like? And normally I can say terrible. Just show up and trust us. But we actually have an entire menu already put together. We're on the hook for food and volunteers. The camp provides the facilities and the location. Okay, and so this has been put together by Chris Embry and Audrey Malin. They've put a lot of time and effort into figuring out where we're going to be ordering the food from, how much is it going to cost, how do we keep the price low for you guys, how are we going to be able to prepare the food, and so they're working on all the logistics on this side of things. It's probably not going to change too much from what you see right now. As you look up there on Monday, you're going to be getting dropped off at the camp. Because this camp is so close, 30 minutes, we're not going to be chartering Kelly tour buses to take us 30 minutes down the road. So that Monday, you guys are going to be getting dropped off at the camp, already eaten breakfast, because we're not going to be having breakfast for you there Monday morning. There will be a lunch. There will be a dinner. And then everything else is taken care of Tuesday through Thursday. And then we will give you breakfast on Friday. Then we will be out of there, hopefully, before lunch. Okay? So this right here is the main deal here. If you have any sort of dietary restrictions, let me know. We can figure that out on a case-by-case basis, but those seem to be relatively few and far between, and some of those I already know about. But if you feel like you fall in that category, let me know. We will figure out a way to accommodate as best as we possibly can, even if that means saying, hey, we have a fridge here that you can bring in some of your own stuff. By looking at this menu, if you're like, man, I can't do lunch on Wednesday, I'm going to have to bring in my own lunch on Wednesday. Cool, let's figure that out, and we will get you accommodated as far as that goes, okay? So that's how we're doing food this year. I also, another question I get asked often is, what do I bring to camp? And so we actually answered that for you. So right up here, I have a packing list that each and every single one of you are going to be able to go home with today. Okay, it'll be on the screen here in a second. But so this is the girls' packing list, and on the next one we have the guys, which we'll stay up there for a little bit. But these are going to be on the white tables in the back of the rooms. Each table has both guys and girls' stuff on there. So if you're a dude, take the blue paper, and if you're a girl, take the pink paper. It's pretty self-explanatory. All right, so these right here kind of have a breakdown of what it is you need to bring, and just kind of the mindset to have, and some things on not to bring. So these are a great tool to kind of put together to make sure you don't forget anything, including deodorant. Y'all be smelling ripe out there at camp. After Tuesday night and nobody's showered yet, it's like, we ain't playing that. All right, bring deodorant, okay? So this right here, the packing list, like I said, that is in the back of the room. Please, please, please pick that up on the way out. If you need more, I will have more each and every single week before camp, okay? The next common question I get asked, because what I'm doing here is I'm trying to answer as many questions as you guys have, so at the end when we turn it over to other questions, hopefully they've all been answered, is the dress code. All right, what is the dress code going to be this year at camp? And I'm going to say this, and we're going to see if after camp, if I shouldn't have said this, but I'm going to say it. It's common sense. That is the dress code. It is common sense. If you would not wear it here to students on a Wednesday night, you should not wear it to camp. Okay? I don't want to see crack top or bottom. That's the way it is. Cover things up, all right? Common sense. You're going to be playing games. There's going to be water. Prepare for bad weather. Common sense, okay? Some of these games can get a little physical, so maybe you shouldn't wear something that you wouldn't want to get destroyed. You know, don't wear your favorite hoodie. One, it's in June and it's going to be hot, but also there's a possibility that could get messed up or muddy or dirty or torn or what have you, okay? Common sense. I'm going to say that like 4 more times. Common sense with the dress code. On the packing papers that I have back there, it says nothing vulgar, no profanity. You would say, well, obviously, but it's like, hey, we're touching on all the bases here. It goes through a lot of those things in better detail, all right? We're going to be playing games. There are going to be structured games. Who here has gone with us on a camp trip in the last 2 years? Okay, so there was a lot of pretty structured games that took place the last 2 years where we had teams kind of against each other. We're going to do something very similar at this camp. The games are not going to be the main focus of the camp, but it is going to be a good time. If you've ever been here on a game night, you know the type of games that we like to play. And so throughout the week, you know, each day there is going to be a theme. We will let you know what those themes are when they are finalized and set in stone, and we will give you guys ample opportunity to prepare for those. But, you know, that's kind of the layout. We're going to do this a very gateway way. We are also going to be having free time there at the camp. Okay, so with free time, this is why we do not allow up-and-coming 6th graders to go to camp. There's just a certain level of maturity that is not there yet. And so if you've been here for a while and you know us, we know you, we kind of know what to expect. But here's the deal, guys. You are going to have the opportunity to get into trouble. And I am going to trust that when you have that opportunity to get into trouble, you're going to choose to not do the thing that you're going to do. You're not going to play on the railroad tracks. You're not going to go out and try to catch the alligator in the marsh. You're not going to do those things because we're not going to be able to have an eye on you 24/7. That's just the way it is. There is a certain level of responsibility that we require you guys to have. Because this camp is only 30 minutes from the church, that also means I will not bat an eye to call a parent to come and pick you up. It's a 45-minute drive in most cases to the camp. This isn't a 6-hour drive that I got to convince your parent to come and pick you up. If you're acting like a knucklehead, you're not going to be hanging out at the camp for very long, because safety is a huge priority out there. And so if you're doing something that is unsafe, we're not going to be doing that thing. And so if I tap you on the shoulder and I say, hey, you need to cut it out, and you don't, do not be surprised when Steven says he's going to do what he says he's going to do. I will call your parent, and they will pick you up. That's just the way it is, okay? So safety is a big point there. In the back of the room, there is going to be a medication form. All right, we're switching gears here. And so I have this right here. This right here is a medication form. So if you take anything over the counter or prescription, you're going to want to pay attention to this, okay? You will put your name on this sheet. You will put what medication it is that you are taking, and then you will put on there, hey, how many times a day do I need to take it? And this paper is going to go with the medication in the original packaging in a Ziploc bag that also has your name on it. And when you show up to the camp, we're going to be taking this over to the nurses area, which we actually do have our nurse here. It's back there is Miss Diana. Say hi, Diana. All right, she's got years and years and years of not one less years of nursing experience. Okay, she knows what she's doing, is what I'm trying to say. All right, and so all of this, that documentation will go to her with the medication, and then she's going to be the one to distribute the medication and ensure that you get it when you're supposed to get it. And so this applies to both over-the-counter and prescribed medication, because we're not going to, again, safety, right? We're not playing any games when it comes to that. And so that's how we're going to do that. On the topic of health, what happens if I'm at camp and I get sick? If you're sick, man, we don't want you at camp. I mean, we want you there, but we don't want you there at camp. There have been lots of people I know. The Springers come to mind. Are they in here? They're like, one year Ben couldn't come to camp because you were sick, and then the next year your brother was sick and Isaac couldn't come for like the first couple days. And so kind of we have to have a limit on it. And so most camps do 100.4 degrees. If your temperature exceeds 100.4, it stinks, but you're probably going to be going home. All right, we're going to be in close quarters. You guys saw the cabin. It's bunk bed style. You're going to be in close quarters with other people. If the person who's sleeping right next to you doesn't feel good, you're not going to want them there. We don't want anybody leaving from camp feeling terrible, okay? So you can also be sent home from camp if you have symptoms or worsening symptoms, whatever that looks like. Let's say you're like, man, my knee really, really hurts, and then Wednesday we're like carting you around on a cot. It's like, man, you should probably go to the doctor, and we're going to call your parents. Or if Diana back here, if she recommends a student no longer attend camp because of whatever it is, an injury, a sickness, I'm not going to argue with her. She is the expert in this. And so really when it comes to this, what Diana says goes. And I trust her judgment with this. So how are they going to get home? Your parents or grandparents or another trusted adult that prearranges with us how you're going to be getting home. Okay, and the expectation is, let's say on Tuesday morning, little Timmy got a really bad cough and a bloody nose, and he's got to go home and all this stuff. He has a fever. It's like, okay, well, you can't have your child picked up midday on Wednesday. The expectation is they're picked up the same day, whatever it is has happened. And that's just to be fair, on Diana, so that she doesn't have to keep an eye on everybody, and also for your child and for you guys as students, like, you're not going to want to be somewhere if you're really not feeling well, okay? So that is the expectation. If for whatever reason you have to go home, you go home the same day, and that we'll figure out a way for you to get picked up. I understand, people have to work. We'll figure stuff out. We're really reasonable, but just let us know what's going on so we can work on that, okay? Another question, valuables, okay? Be smart with your valuables, meaning I probably wouldn't bring them. If you absolutely don't need it at camp, don't bring it. There is no safe place to put your valuables, short of you going out in the woods and digging a hole and burying it yourself and marking it somehow. If you're not in the cabin and you're out doing some other things, like, man, like I don't I don't know if stuff's going to go walking away because, like I said, you guys are going to have the opportunity to get into some trouble because you're not always going to have people on your eyes on you. So do not bring anything that is of value. See, there's no, like I said, there's no safe to put it in. This includes jewelry, electronics, toys, excessive money, because we are anticipating, you guys needing to take money because, like I said, starting on Monday, we at lunch going forward, we got meals covered. Okay, Audrey and Chris are putting together an amazing team to serve you guys breakfast, lunch, and dinner. But we also are going to have a snack shack and a coffee truck, and I have some photos of these two. This right here was established this year. Maybe you'll throw up there. That's right, Gateway Brews coffee truck. We get to brew this. That was all. I wish I could take credit for that, but that wasn't me. That was all Graceland. All right, and then so we'll have a coffee truck that is going to be on site for the duration of the camp. So in the morning, you guys can buy coffee, like proper coffee. Graceland's our resident barista. How long have you worked at Starbucks? Almost 4 years, y'all. Okay, so we're gonna have a proper coffee truck, and then later on in the evening, it's going to turn into a lemonade truck, like a gourmet. It's not going to be it's going to be gourmet lemonade. All right, it's going to be nice stuff. It's all going to be affordable. When it comes to money, we usually say like, hey, imagine you're going to spend $5 or $10 a day. Most students will show up with $40, and you'll be fine. Okay, if you don't show up with anything, guess what? You're not going to starve. You're not going to go thirsty. We're going to have water all throughout the camp because it's June. It's going to be warmer. You're going to have plenty of liquids for you to partake of. And on to the topic of water, bring a water bottle, okay? On the camp sheet back there that you guys are going to be taking on the supply list, it says your own personal water bottle. Please bring a water bottle. We don't need students getting dehydrated again. This happens every single year where a student has been surviving off root beer and pretzels, and then on Thursday, they're just like, I wonder why I'm dizzy. Drink water, please, okay? And every single year, we have students that show up that said, I didn't know I was supposed to bring a water bottle and stuff, and nobody told me I had to drink. It's like, no, you're old enough to be able to drink water. You need to drink water or you will get sick and you're not going to have a good time. So please, please, please do that. Okay? This is a question I have actually written down right here. I have gotten this question 8 times in the last 2 weeks. So I'm going to touch on it. Cell phones. All right? Last year was the first year we did not... It wasn't even us. It was the camp we had gone to. They said, hey, we don't allow students to have cell phones. And I'm just like, perfect. It was so good, right? And I thought there would be a big pushback, and initially there was. And then I had several students, while we were at the Wilds, when we couldn't have our cell phones, come up to me and be like, I am so glad I don't have my cell phone on me right now. And so we're not going to have cell phones this year either. We're not doing it. We're not doing it. That being said, there will be people at the camp with cell phones. I will have my cell phone on me because if you break your leg, I need to call your parent that you broke your leg. And so there is going to be a list that all parents are going to receive of people that are going to be on site throughout the duration of the week who are going to have their cell phone on them. So if in the event of an emergency, you need to get a hold of your kid, you can. Students, you're just like, I really need to call my mom right now. It's Wednesday. I'm kind of homesick, what have you. It's like, we're not going to stop you from talking to your parents. I'm just not going to give you the holy grail of distractions and allow you to keep it in your pocket because what we are doing, what we're going to camp, it's not a vacation. It's a mission. See, when we go to camp, we want to make it as easy as possible for students to come into a relationship with Christ or to deepen their relationship or to ask questions or to get questions answered. And the way we do that is by removing you from your normal situation, your normal temptations, the normal distractions of life. And we are putting you in a location where you don't have access to any of those things. And you spend the entirety of the week in worship, and you're reading scripture, and you're hearing the word, and at the end of the week, you're like, man, I wonder why I feel so good, and then you go to your house, and you pull out your phone, and you're just like, oh, I guess it was just a camp thing. What we said last year is you can have camp that camp feeling, we call it the camp high, even when you're not at camp. You just need to do a lot of the same things you did at camp back at your house. And so that's what we're going to do. We're not going to have phones. The volunteers that we're going to be bringing to camp, for a lot of them, I've been on several trips with them in the past. I know we have people that have been in student ministry much longer than I have. And so we have a lot of combined experience when it comes to dealing with things on the fly. Because when it comes to student ministry, you have to be flexible. And so you guys just have to trust me when I say this, and I can give you stories. If you're a parent and you're just like, I don't know if you can handle it. Like, let me explain to you how we can handle business, okay? The students will be fine. We will get them back to you, hopefully with as many fingers and toes as they left, but we will get them back to you, okay? And so that's the deal. Now, I said that the cost is $195, and though it is cheaper than last year, I fully understand that, you can't even go into Publix and get eggs right now because they're so incredibly expensive. And so I get it. Like, $195 is still pretty expensive, especially if you have more than one student that's going to be going to camp. I think there are some people that are going to be getting ready to shell out like $600, to send their kids to camp for a week. And so we are going to be having fundraising here. The form looks like this. This right here is the Coca-Cola fundraiser. We did this last year. It was a huge success. It would be remarkably foolish of me to not do this again. And the way this works is, we have a bunch of different things on here, Coca-Cola products that you can sell, and for every case of Coke product that you sell, whether it's the milk or, I think there's like there's like Powerade up there. For every case you sell, it's just a couple cents shy of $5 going toward your camp tuition, essentially. And so we had students last year. We had four students that sold enough things last year to almost completely pay for what the camp would cost this year, okay? This is kind of a home run because people are already going to be going out buying Coke products and milk and all these different things. So instead of buying it from the store, they just pick it up from you. And so it's actually a pretty good deal. When we did the math last year, it was like under $1.50 for a good, the bottles of like Coke Zeros and Cokes and stuff like that. Or when you go in the store or a gas station, they charge you like $3.20. So you are getting a really, really good deal on these products. And so here's the time frame as far as the fundraiser stuff goes for those of us who are interested in it. So May 7th, we're going to start the fundraiser. All right, we're going to have all the packets here ready to go. We'll give it to you. And then we're going to sell the Coca-Cola products for 2 weeks. And then we're going to be returning those to the church on the 28th at the absolute latest, because then I'm going to take all of these sheets here that you guys have filled out. I'm going to be putting them all together, and then I'm going to place the order with Coca-Cola, and they're going to drop it off here at the church on the 4th of June. So that's going to be on a Wednesday. So you pick up the packet on a Wednesday. 2 weeks from the day you pick it up, you drop it off, and then that next week, you pick up all of the Coca-Cola product. And we did this last year, and it was so smooth. We had everything set up out there in the lobby. You went in there and said, hey, I'm ready to pick up. And then we had somebody with a dolly rolling it out to your car, putting it in your trunk, and then you just delivered it to the people you ordered, whether it is you that ordered it or your neighbors or your teachers or whoever it be. But this right here is a really, really effective way to raise funds for camp. And so if you sell 15 cases and you sell 3, you're keeping all the money that you raised for yours, and then you're getting $15 toward your camp, okay? The more you sell, the more it goes toward you. We're not distributing it evenly amongst everybody. So if you don't participate, you don't get any money toward your camp. Now, once you if you sell enough to completely pay for camp, then what happens is if there's somebody else in your household that is going to be going to camp, we immediately just put the remaining funds towards whoever that other individual camper is, all right? Which you guys will know how much you need to sell to completely pay for camp. If there's nobody else from your household who is going to camp, what we do is we take any additional funds beyond that and we put it in the camp scholarship fund. And then at that point, as you know, we will be allocating that out to other students that need it for whatever reason. Sometimes an example of this is if there's a student that finds out about camp after we do fundraising and they don't have an opportunity to do the fundraising themselves, okay, the student went absolutely crazy over here and sold a bunch of stuff. We'll go ahead and we're going to take 50, 60, whatever it is, and we're going to help you to get you to camp. Again, I have never seen a student not go to camp because of the cost. All right, so if for whatever reason that's an issue, please shoot me an email, shoot me a call, tap me on the shoulder. Let's have that conversation, and we'll figure out what we got to do to get you to camp. All right. Let's see here. We already touched on expectations. We are representing, Gateway when we go on this camp. Though we are the only church that is going to be there, we are not the only people on the camp. All right. There are people that run the camp. There are people that kind of volunteer and they help out and they take care of the property over there. And it would be really awful for them to show up the week after we're there and there's just a ton of stuff broken. Like, I don't think this is going to be an issue. It's never been an issue before, and I don't think it will ever be an issue so long as we constantly say, like, hey, we are expecting that you guys are going to behave. And so that right there should touch on most of the things. Most of the questions that parents and students have about this trip, so hopefully we're able to answer a lot of those. The only other thing I want to touch on, and again, this is because I get this question a lot, is are the people at the camp going to be background checked? And the answer is just like on a Wednesday night, yes. The only exception to that rule would be if there is like a church small group that signed up to help serve food for like breakfast or lunch or something. We're not going to background check all of them, but they are never going to be one-on-one with anybody. Even those who are background checked will never be one-on-one with a student, okay? With that being said, I kind of ran through everything here. It is 8:02. We got about 15 minutes before we cut loose. Does anybody out here have any question about camp or how to sign up, which I'll get to here at the very end, because like I said, the registrations are opening today.
What time do we need to be there?
What time do we need to be there? So because we're doing this ourselves, we're trying to figure out a lot of the details. I think it's probably going to be it's going to be a drop-off window. Because if everybody shows up at the same time, it could be a little bit difficult. It's a Monday morning. We know parents got to get to work. So it's probably going to be anywhere between 8:30 and 10 o'clock as far as a drop-off goes at the camp. So if you show up at 8:30, cool, like we're gonna be there. We'll get you a kind of process, make sure you're all checked off on everything you need. We'll take you to your cabin. You'll get all your stuff squared away, kind of get a layout of the camp. Because when you get, everybody's gonna have a little pamphlet, a little book that has a map and like when the meal times are and when all the different events are and free time. And so you'll be able to familiarize yourself with the camp just a little bit before everybody else who shows up. Any other questions?
Do you get the little paper with the fundraiser and then you have someone order it and then they pick it up on Wednesday?
Yes, either they can pick it up or you pick it up and deliver it to them. Because chances are you're going to know who they are, right? And so it'd be like, hey, if you sell it to a teacher at school or a neighbor or something like that, you just be like, hey, I get the order on this date, in June, and then I'll be getting it to you after that. But yeah, that's how that works.
So when you said that the parent would have to pick up the kid at a certain time that day, when are certain times that the parent can pick up the kid?
You're saying if you get sick while you're at camp?
Yeah.
When within reason. Like I don't want to have a parent tell me like, oh, I'll be there in 16 hours. It's like, we're not going to do that. It's just like, hey, I got off work in an hour. Can I swing by after? Like, the answer is going to be yes, And it's going to be on a case-by-case basis. So there isn't just really one answer for that.
if you're inviting somebody who's not a Gateway person, do they have to sign up for Church Center first to register?
Yes. So I was going to touch on that in the last 5 minutes. So if you do not have Church Center on your phone, which that right there is the application, it's not a Gateway app, but it is the app that we use. You download it on your phone. You select Gateway Church as the home church, and then from there you will be able to go through the steps to get registered for camp. Okay, and I'll walk through the process and how to do that here in just a second. But yeah, it has to be done through Church Center. Right back here.
Okay, you keep talking about if parents were to drop off their kid, but like if I were to drive there, is there somewhere I can park?
Yes, there is lots of places to park. So yeah, that's a great question actually, and that's not one I had thought of. But yes, if you can drive and you drive to the camp, we will have a spot for you to park, but it'd be like you got dropped off, where just because you have a key and a car does not mean you're just like, I don't want to eat what's for lunch or dinner here. I'm going to run down the road to the Waffle House. Like, we're not going to have students leave the camp property once they showed up. But yes, 100%, we will have a spot for you to park. Great question, actually.
This isn't about camp, but like, every time I go in Church Center, it says I have to be 13.
Do you have a parent with Church Center on their phone?
Yeah.
Then you're good.
Okay.
All right, any other questions? Really? Usually I have somebody just like, I don't agree with this rule. But I'm like, okay, let's do it.
Steven, I have like a wild card question.
Oh, no.
I do. So I know you mentioned student capacity. And one time we were talking about maybe if there's a group of people who are willing to bring tents or something, are we going to take a poll? Because I'll sleep in a tent if necessary.
Well, I was
Sounds
going to
fun.
hopefully try to cross that bridge when we got to it.
Yeah.
So the camp does have a capacity with how many, and here's the key word, with how many students we can comfortably accommodate. Okay, there is, once the cabins are full, there are a couple rooms that we can go into that's going to be like, it's going to be like cots type setup there, but it's a giant room. So in fact, that would actually, in some cases, be a little bit more comfortable than the cabins, and everything's air conditioned, so we don't got to worry about bugs in the cabins and all that fun stuff. But the camp said, and I quote, "You can bring as many students as you want so long as some of them are willing to stay in tents." And I said, cool. And so I know that there are a handful of students who I've already talked to who are like, yeah, I'll stay in a tent if you need me to. And I'm like, hopefully we don't get to that. But if we do, for whatever reason, completely blow my expectations out of the water with the amount of students that are signing up for camp, we will not force anybody to stay in a tent, okay? If you are willing, cool. We'll figure that out. They have a really cool spot to, have a bunch of tents set up with an outhouse if you want to use it, if you don't want to go on a walk. But the camp has those kinds of facilities, so if you really want to, talk to me afterwards and we can figure it out. Yes?
Can we leave yet?
No. Almost. All right. Any other questions? For real, for real.
Are the bathrooms inside the cabins or outside?
Okay, so all the bathrooms have a roof over their head. They're inside. Each cabin has at least one bathroom, and then attached to the cafeteria area, there are 3 additional girls' showers and 3 additional guys' showers. And because the camp, up until this point, the camp had never accommodated as many students as we want to bring, and they are very excited to have us. And so because they know we're coming, they have started construction on additional showers to be able to accommodate more students. And within the next year or so, they want to have even more cabins put on. They said, they're like, yeah, you're definitely stretching us here a little bit, but they're excited for it because they want to see more people use this camp. Got time for a couple more questions. You got one back here, Jacob? Okay.
Will there be a schedule?
Yes, absolutely there's going to be a schedule. So when you guys show up to camp, there's going to be a little booklet that is going to be put together that has a map of the camp. It's going to tell you, depending on which team you're on, when your breakfast, lunch, and dinner is, because we are going to be taking so many people, we're going to offset the meals just a little bit. So there will be like a early breakfast and a little bit later breakfast. early lunch, a little bit later lunch, just so that we can not be shoulder to shoulder the entirety of the time. We want you guys to honestly have a really good experience, and part of that is by being organized. And with the only way we are organized is if we have a schedule and we try to stick to it. So yes, we will have a schedule.
Do we get to choose who we stay with?
Great question. So when you sign up for camp, there's going to be a spot on there for you to put the names of 3 people who you would really like to be able to bunk with. And we'll do the best we can to accommodate it, but as always, like sometimes we're not going to be able to accommodate. These cabins are big enough where for the most part, that shouldn't be an issue, because most of the people's names we're gonna put down are gonna be people that are very close in grade to you. And so it's hard to know exactly the layout of the cabins, because if we have 2/3 of the people who sign up be girls, well, like, okay, well then we're gonna have to rearrange some things. But for the most part, yes, you will be able to be with somebody who you want to be with in the room, okay? Anybody else? Yes.
Okay. I've been to Camp Marsh before, and they had assigned teams for cleaning up after meals. So will that be a thing here?
It's definitely not out of the realm of possibilities. It's one of those things where hopefully if you clean up after yourself, we're really not going to need too many people to do that, because we are going to have people coming in who want to volunteer, who want to play a part in what happens at Gateway students, and a lot of them, they're like, hey, we really want to do this. Great. But to mitigate that, as long as you're dotting your I's and you're crossing your T's and you're not leaving a mess wherever you go, that would be really appreciated. Now, if we do things like that, we would have to give it some thought, just because we had never organized it like that before. But great question.
Is there going to be archery?
Archery? Okay. The camp has archery targets. They do. I've seen them. I was there yesterday. I saw the targets. That being said, I know, and you're like, I'm not going to say who it is, but there are some people who I do not want to give a bow and arrow to in this room right now. So, maybe. It hasn't gotten the thumbs up or thumbs down just yet. Okay, a couple more, and then I'll walk you guys how to set up.
Will there be leaders in each cabin with the kids?
Yes, but because at
Praise
Gateway, we practice safe sanctuary, and so we have to have at least 2 leaders in each cabin, okay? I have been to camps in the past where there were leaders in the room, and I have been to camps where the leaders would walk around. They didn't physically stay in the cabin, but they would pop in unannounced to make sure everything's good. We're probably not going to go that route with it. We probably will have leaders in every cabin, but if we go the other direction on that, we would definitely be letting everybody know, and then we'd be explaining the why behind it. John.
So just curious, I know we're doing games, but a lot of camps do some sort of competition. Is that gonna be a thing where it's kind of competitive throughout the week, or is it just?
Yeah, every day there will be one, maybe a smaller competition element to it. We're still working on the details, but last week, if you were here after 9 o'clock or close to, we busted out a giant water balloon launcher out in the parking lot, and we were launching water balloons from the sidewalk all the way over to Pine Barren. So, yes, there is going to be some really fun things to do at camp.
I had a question in the back. I'm going to ask it for them. It wasn't my question, but they did say, since we are going to be out in the woods and right by, the swamp, if you will we be able to go snipe hunting?
Yes, absolutely.
Perfect.
I've heard that they have a pretty healthy snipe population out there, so. Okay, Chris.
All right, I just want to know, so how many people will be sleeping in each cabin? 12
to 14, unless you're in the overflow room, and then as many, it'd be like sardines at that point. But no, it's about 14 at the max per cabin. Some cabins are double cabins where when you walk in, You go to the right, there's 12 or 14 beds over there, and then you go to the left, and there's another 12 or 14. And then it'll come over here.
What do you guys do when you have a birthday on the last day?
When we have a birthday at camp, so we actually have a few birthdays that are going to happen at camp, and we are going to completely ignore it. No, I'm kidding. We're gonna make it fun. You know, if it's your birthday at camp, we're gonna make sure everybody knows. It's not gonna be like nobody knows it's my birthday. Next thing, no, it's gonna be a good time. You're at camp on your birthday. That's awesome. All right. So, what exactly are we gonna do? I can't tell you, or it's not a surprise. All right, last one right here, and then I'm gonna walk you guys through how to.
What's the bedtime?
The bedtime?
Great question.
When you start annoying me. The better behaved you are, the later you can stay up. It's crazy. So here's the thing. I want to be totally honest with you guys. Camp for me, when I was your guys' age, was a time when I was able to make some of the best memories of my student age, right? And I got to be careful because I want to give you guys permission to go crazy here. But I understand, you guys are going to stay up, but don't be dumb. Don't be knuckleheads. Don't make me call your parent, okay? If you stay in your bunk and you kind of look up and you're being quiet, it's like, all right. But pretty much, I think midnight's the hard cutoff on that, all right? Midnight. Because here's the thing. I want to get to bed too. And I can't go to bed if I have students, running around, playing poker in their bunk.
Will there be a security team?
Oh, yeah. There's going to be a security team because here's the thing. I was once where you guys sit, and I know some of the things that you want to do. And it is my job to make sure that you don't do those things, okay? So, yes, we are going to have a security team, and we're going to have somebody who is going to be on shift all throughout the night. So if you guys are going to be like, I'm going to go out, and I'm going to catch me that alligator I saw in the marsh. No, we're not going to let you do that, okay? So we're going to go ahead. I think that handles most of the questions. So here's what we're going to do next. I'm going to very, very quickly explain to you how to sign up for camp. So students, listen up, because if you want to go to camp, you're going to need to know this. So you have to go through the church center application, okay? It was scheduled to open at 8. So right now, if you for sure want to sign up for camp, you can. You go to church center, you go to Explore Ministries, and then you select Gateway Students. When you scroll down, there's going to be a link there that says register for camp. When you select that link, it will take you through the registration process to get you signed up for camp. If you're an adult volunteer and you want to volunteer for camp, you would go through this exact same process, okay? For students, the cost is $195 to go to camp. In order to reserve your spot, you have to pay $40 to hold your spot, okay? So you pay the $40, you're going to camp. The rest of that $195 has to be paid before you set foot on the camp. So I had this question 3 times today. They're like, when do I have to have all the money paid? Before you go to the camp. We're not going to be super big sticklers as far as, if you don't have it done by this time, you're not going to camp. It's like, no, I understand it. A lot of students last year did their own fundraising, and they put their own money towards it, and so they couldn't pay it all in one go. If you show up to camp with the cash in hand, then you're good to go. But if you're doing it through Church Center, you absolutely have to do credit card, debit card, something like that. That's the easiest way to do it, because if for whatever reason I have to do a refund or something changed and you can't go to camp, I'll just refund it right back to the card. That is the easiest way to do it. If you write me a check, then I have to run to the bank, and we got to, I'm not going to run to the bank. I'm going to give it to Rochelle, and then Rochelle's going to run into the bank. But then, there's a delay, and then at that point, if you need to get a refund on the money, we have to jump through more hoops in order to get that done. Card is the easiest way to do it. It's $20.25. If you still put cash under your mattress, I'm not judging you, but we need cards. All right? So that's how you sign up again, through Church Center, Explore Ministries, Gateway Students, register for camp. Final thing, and then I'll get you guys out of here. A lot of you guys have parents that aren't here today, or there are lots of parents who just couldn't be here. We recorded this entire meeting. we are going to be, we're going to upload it to YouTube, and we will have a link, a YouTube link to this meeting for parents that could not make it, or for, let's say you say, oh, I have a friend who I want to take to camp, but you don't remember everything I talked about. Send them that link. They can watch the little camp thing, and then they can get signed up for camp. Yes, we do take debit card. Okay, cool. That's it. Yes. I wish I could know who was going to be doing what, but I can't. And so, is it going to be middle schoolers in one cabin and high schoolers in another? I don't know. It just depends on the demographic of everybody who signs up. It might be a mix. It might not be. If I have an even split, easy peasy, lemon squeezy, I don't have to worry about it. Otherwise, I'm going to get creative, okay? Cool. I'm going to stick around if you guys have any questions. I really, really, really appreciate all you guys, especially parents showing up to kind of hear what's going to be happening at camp. If you have any additional question, please come on up. I'd be more than happy to answer them or point you in the right direction. Thank you, guys. Drive safe.